Hello everyone, welcome to week 12. The topic for this week is Pedagogy of the Privileged. This is video 12.1, which is the last video. Studying Adult Education and Social Justice and PBL Scenario 3. How to teach adults about social justice. This week, the focus is on reflection about how you, as adult learners, have been introduced to social justice during this course. Looking back over the weeks, we began with examining your identity and how you define yourself. Next, we looked at your social location, and you created maps of your identity and social location. You completed PBL Scenario 1 on self. Next, for PBL Scenario 2, we started to look at the other or others. We began to examine terms such as prejudice and discrimination. We talked about human rights and charter rights. We investigated websites and human rights cases. We listened to a webinar about competing human rights. In weeks 4 to 7, we met some theorists. For example, Paulo Freire and his concept of conscientization, or bringing awareness to those who are not aware that there is injustice. Next, we talked about the curriculum we used in school and how it was, for most people, somewhat narrow. We examined some theories, such as Peggy McIntosh's phases of curriculum and Paul Gorski's stages of multicultural curriculum transformation. And then next, privilege. Next, we read an article by Peggy McIntosh about the invisible knapsack of privilege. We completed some checklists and reflected on privilege and disadvantage. You presented PBL Scenario 2 to your peers as you considered the other. And finally, Section 3 of the course. We began to look at the mechanics of oppression and privilege through the use of a STEP tool from an online resource by Anne Curry Stevens called An Educator's Guide for Changing the World. We examined examples of oppression. For example, we looked at this piece of writing by Pastor Martin Niemöller. You began working on PBL Scenario 3, which focuses on social justice and the Canadian experience. We examined 2 readings, which provide some research on the experience of Canadian immigrants. You were encouraged to consider the concept of representation. You viewed a radio play on the Pink Collar Ghetto, which is based on a story by Susan Alexandrin, which uses the equity technique of reversal. Week 12. This is the final week of our course. Congratulations. You will be presenting PBL Scenario 3 during the tutorial for week 12. During this week, you are encouraged to visit the Pedagogy of the Privileged Facebook page and contribute and share your contribution with the class. We encourage you to consider our pedagogy in this course. Did it work for you? Thanks for all of your hard work. It has been a real pleasure. Good luck with your final presentations.